Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall with ballots, and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Sentius.
Dacius.
Malleolus.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Sentius.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. But it seems we have a draw. In the absence of a clear consensus, Sentius shall continue as acting magistrate until a new election is held, 1 month from today.
My fellow citizens, today you have sent me a message, and I want you to know I have heard it loud and clear. I vow to spend the next month winning back your trust. Thank you for this opportunity, and may the gods watch over you.
You, the new arrival, whatever your name is. You're responsible for this, aren't you? Nobody likes Caput Murdae foreigners interfering in an election.
Shut up and let the magistrate speak.
Malleolus is gonna be magistrate by the end of the day.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Just stay out of our way, and we won't have a problem.
Wait, I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies. It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is, a children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and what you're doing with that bow on your back? Oh, sounds serious. I'm listening. All right, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood. Poor guy. My uncle was a victim at Rheumatism's altar, and he ended up killing himself. All right, got it. I'll go, but...
Keep an eye out for Scintilla, would you?
How'd you do? Hello there, friend. Are you well, stranger? Have you been out in the sun too long? You seem a little confused. Perhaps you should go and see Lucretia in a clinic. Certainly. All I ask... Oh, you have it. I'm impressed. Pleasure doing business. Very well.
What are you doing? What? Quick, give it here. Yulia, you need to swallow this. Here, let me help you. Hopefully, in a moment, she should be able to breathe normally. That was extraordinary. How did you know she needed this exact thing? And at this exact moment? Are you some kind of oracle? A what? I'm sorry, I must have misheard you. I think it's your accent, because it sounded like you said time traveler. But whatever kind of traveler you are, that was like the gods hearing my prayers and intervening. You just saved a person's life, and you should be proud of yourself. She might even be able to thank you herself in a few moments. And maybe she can tell us who poisoned her, and who she meant when she was muttering about that snake's cruel black eyes. In the meantime, I'm happy to help you. That's a shame. Feeling all right? Sure. Glad that...
Oh, it's you. Sorry, I'm still a bit out of it. But thanks for trying to help me, I suppose. Was there something you wanted? Lucretia says I'm supposed to rest. As much as I'm grateful that you tried to help me, it's just not safe for me to talk about it. Please, no more questions. The golden rule. That's the least of my worries. The gods may be cruel, but Malleolus and Claudia are far crueler. Please, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it. Persistent as Nemesis, aren't you? I can tell you, but it's a long saga. All right. I'd been here about a week when it dawned on me I'd be trapped here for the rest of my life. I could hardly breathe, and I knew I had to get out somehow. So when my new friend Aurelia offered me a secret way out, I would have done anything. And then I learned her asking price. 1,000 denarii. She was supposed to be my friend. I told her it would take me years to save up that much. So she suggested I take out a loan from Malleolus. And I did. I had to sign an agreement saying I'd work off the debt over 30 years. But I figured I'd be out of here so soon it wouldn't matter. I paid Aurelia, and she gave me her so-called way out. Do you want to know what it was? Hemlock. Drink this, she said, and you'll be out of here in no time. Of course, I demanded my money back, but she refused. She pointed to a sign on her tavern saying, "Let the buyer beware." Then she just looked at me with those cruel black eyes and she laughed. She immediately told Malleolus I'd tried to escape without paying him back. Only, he didn't seem upset or surprised at all. In fact, he just thanked her. And that's when I realized the two of them had planned the whole thing from the beginning. That's what I said to the magistrate. I went to Sentius and begged for help, but he said the law was clear. I'd signed over my labor for 30 years and there was nothing he could do. I thought about resisting too. But Malleolus said if I didn't submit, I'd break the Golden Rule. And I couldn't be responsible for all those deaths, so he locked me in his villa. Confiscated everything I owned as collateral, and made me wear immodest, humiliating outfits while I worked day in, day out. His wife Claudia was just as bad. She sent me to work on an endless stream of futile, demeaning tasks. I'd be on my hands and knees, scrubbing the floor clean for hours, only for her to pour slop on it and hiss, "You missed a spot." Those two took everything from me. But they forgot to confiscate one thing: my hemlock. I just wanted it to be over, but it seems I messed that up too. Should have drunk all of it. Don't you think I know that? I brought it on myself. I trusted one of the most callous human beings I've ever met, and tried to swindle the other. I don't know how I could have been so stupid. When I've recovered, I expect their thug Domitius will come for me. He'll escort me back to their villa, and I'll be right back where I started. Only this time, I won't be able to lull myself to sleep at night with the thought of a permanent solution. Honestly, it would have been better if the poison had been allowed to run its course. I doubt it. It seems this is the fate the gods have chosen for me, for trying to escape. At least until someone breaks the Golden Rule. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. A lot. But it doesn't matter. I made a suicide pact with Ulpius last night. He's in exactly the same position as I am. Malleolus and Aurelius set the same trap for him a month after they did it to me. He and I are in this together. He's probably already thrown himself from the bluff into Malleolus's villa by now. If so, I'd never be able to live with myself, knowing I broke my promise to him. I doubt you could make it up to the bluff in time. I don't know who you are, or why you seem so determined to help me, but thank you.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Citizen.
Salve, friend. Welcome to All right, well, it was lovely to meet you.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what are you doing? What? Please help. Thank you.
You know about that? How is that possible? I mean, I've never mentioned it to anyone. Well, if you say so. You don't understand. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want it all to be over. It's too late for that. Yulia and I made a pact, and she's already swallowed hemlock this morning. If I backed out now, I'd be betraying her. I can't do that. Oh, really? That changes things a little. But we're still in debt bondage to that monster. Unless you happen to have 2,000 denarii to pay off both of our debts. Yulia and I are in debt bondage to Malleolus. We might as well be slaves. And that's how much it will take to buy our freedom back. So, do you have the money or not? No. No. Time's up. I am out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love, I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no! That was not your fault. I'll have to let everyone know, and I'd best... Today is a sad day.
Name's Rufius. No idea what you're talking about.
I hope you're taking care of yourself.
What? That was Galerius, not you. Oh. He got that from you? I guess you did help me then. Huh. I think I have seen that plaque. Sorry I lied. Can't be too careful these days. Head into the caves behind the theater. Turn right, then right again. Oh, and here. You'll need this key. You didn't get that from me. No idea what you're talking about? Yeah? Prove it. So you're...
Isn't the great temple majestic? A new face, are they? I beg your pardon? Oh my, that is quite a lot to take in. You'll have to give me a moment. Let's see. If that... we don't have much to go on. Hercules... May for...
Hey! You're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Well, it's your funeral.
You? Who are you? Did he send you? Do you know you're here? You have to help me escape before that monster comes back. I'm Scintilla. I found a way out through the Gate of Horn, but it's locked. So I told him about it, and instead of helping me escape, he locked me up. He wants to keep us all here forever, or until we're turned to gold. He's a monster. You have to let me go so we can kill him and take his key. Sentius, my adoptive father. Furies help me. I'll castrate and crucify him. I don't know. He said the gods are on his side because they don't want us to escape either. Behind me, there's an aqueduct tunnel bringing water from outside the city, so it should lead us outside. The only problem is it's barred by a heavy locked gate, and he has the only key. I'm going to take that key from around his neck,
even if it means cutting his throat to get it. I'm done caring about the Golden Rule. I just want out. Help me, and we can escape together. There won't be enough time. Just you and me. What do you say? There's no time. Wait, did you hear that? He's here. Quick, you have to let me go. It's now or never. What? No, you can't just leave me here. How can you be so heartless? It's no use. You'll never persuade him of anything. I'm telling you, he's a monster. Please. You're making a mistake.
So you survived the system. Probably just a stroke.
Citizen. We're finally alone. We have? Is that a... Seems rather I think it's best if I hang on to it. You mean to ask, why am I unwilling to trust a newly arrived non-citizen with access to our water supply, the lifeblood of this city? I'm sorry, but that is simply out of the question. Yes, our water supply. From you. I wasn't born yesterday. Poisoning a city's water supply is the oldest trick in the Codex. Quite literally. Aeneas the Tactician wrote a siegecraft manual for military commanders some 300 years ago, recommending the poisoning or pollution of cisterns. And I'm beginning to wonder if the culprit we're looking for might, after all this, be you. Perhaps it was a mistake on my part to place so much trust in you. I'm glad to hear that. Now, was there something else? Me? What are you talking about? You know, you remind me of him. Al Worth. The fellow who came through the portal before you. Come now. Surely you didn't think you were the only one here who remembered everything. You see, my connection to the portal somehow preserves my memories from one loop to the next. Whether that was Proserpina's intention or a happy accident, I'll never know. But I'm surprised you hadn't noticed. Here I was thinking you were a little bit sharper than Al was. Or perhaps you're just more willing to break the rules. He was a moralistic fellow, never once compromised on his principles. And because of that fatal flaw, he relived this day many thousands of times before we finally had this conversation. I watched him come through the portal each time, always a little older, a little more disheveled, a little more haunted. And when he finally saw the futility of it all, as you're about to, it broke him. He drank a jug of wine, tied a noose around his neck, and took his own life, just before he was shot with a golden arrow. The next time I awoke, you showed up, but you've caught up to where he was so quickly. I mean, you've lived through the day, what, only 3 times? Extremely impressive. And yet everything you've done has been in vain, because there's no escape. Except the path that Al took, the path he wrote about on his tablet. What was it? Ah, yes. Best to take your own life now. So, you discovered my secret. So what? What are you going to do about it? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I have grown attached to all this. My title, my beautiful villa, the sun on my face, the music of birds chirping. And as long as this day keeps repeating itself, I get to enjoy it all, over and over again, for eternity. Don't you see? I have found a way to prolong my life indefinitely, to cheat death. I have become, in effect, as immortal as the gods. Can you honestly say you would not wish the same for yourself? And why would I agree to that? You might want to think that through. If anyone so much as touches me, everyone dies. You and your pathetic morality. Nobody cares about your opinions, least of all, me. Understand that to me, you've never been anything more than a useful idiot, and you're no longer useful. The only way you're getting this key is over my dead body. And if I die, I won't be able to open the portal for you again, meaning you'll have created a paradox. You see, it was my actions that brought you to this point in time. So if you kill me, you'll stop me from doing so, and you being here will be an impossibility. That means if I die, you'll be flung back to your original time, having caused the deaths of everyone here, and you'll never be able to undo it. Is that what you want? I certainly hope not. In fact, I want it to go on and on forever, until you wither and die like Al did, and the gods send yet another useful idiot to extend my life for me. What are you going to do? Beg the gods for help? They don't care about you, and neither do I. Now, get out of my villa. I'm bored with you.
citizen.
Malleolus isn't She's not here. Had to carry her to Lucretia's clinic this morning. Shrine of Apollo. She was acting sick. Faking it, if you ask me. Typical. Whatever.
Oh, it's you again. Is everything all right? No. I did hear from Ulpius that she disappeared. It's very sad. She was such a lovely young woman. But I'd been locked in Malleolus's villa for months before she went missing, so I can't help you, I'm afraid. You mean my life story? Oh. Well, I grew up as part of a big family in Rome. Me and 3 older sisters. Our father found good husbands for my sisters, but I wasn't, cut out for that kind of life. So he found me a job as a scribe for a prominent merchant. It was a good life for a while, until 7 months ago when the fires came. My colleagues and I worked desperately to try to protect our warehouse. We must have had 100 workers passing buckets of water, chanting prayers to Vulcan, but they fell on deaf ears. The fire was relentless and it claimed everything and everyone. Well, almost everyone. My employer told me to grab what valuables I could and flee for the Tiber with the crowds. I remember diving into the river, and then the next thing I knew, I was waking up on the riverbank not far from here. Thank you, but to be honest, sometimes I think dying in that fire might have been a blessing, given what's happened since. If that's your idea of a joke, it's not funny. Go away. I know what...
Citizen.
You, Sisyphus, attack or pursue the stone that always returns. The 49 melodies fetch again with incessant labor the water they have lost. Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
This again. You're in a world of your own, aren't you?
Citizen? No idea what... Look, I haven't been at my best lately. I know that. It's the rheumatism. It starts with constant pain in all your joints. Then the pain starts to mess with your head. Makes you angry. Mean. I know that's not an excuse for how I acted. But it's the truth. But with the willow bark, I'm already starting to feel like myself again. I'll leave him alone from now on. It's not as if I was ever going to hurt him anyway. I was just lashing out. I'm going to go and clean up the graffiti. Just forget this ever happened. Will you?
Salve. Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to a little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so I hear we have you to thank for saving Julia's life. I'm glad you arrived when you did. What demon or spirit told you about that? You went snooping in his place? That was risky. We're lucky you didn't cross any lines. Have you spoken to him about it? Really? How did you manage that? Poor fellow. I've heard that can really mess with a person's head. Well done for figuring that out. Really? That's promising. I'll keep an eye out for him. Well, Malleolus is talking about loosening some of the restrictions in this place. And while it's all a bit vague, at least he has a vision. My vote... Nice to talk.
Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Thank you. Told you it was forbidden. Yes, over my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of a day of celebration. I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. Yes.
I'm not supposed to be in here. Talk. What business could you possibly have with me? My marital affairs are no concern of yours. Thank you very much. An intriguing proposition. Go on. Perhaps you're not as silly as those clothes make you look. What makes you say that? You know, I may have the very thing you're looking for. Some time ago, when he still cared for me, he wrote me a love letter. Only, he used the wrong name. Now, addressing one's wife by the wrong name is not unheard of among philandering Romans. But in this case, the name he got wrong was his own. I confronted him about it, and he stammered through some incoherent response. I let it go, eventually, and yet questions have lingered in the back of my mind ever since. But wait a minute. Why exactly are you helping me? To withdraw. Listen, I may not be Penelope to his Ulysses, but to ruin his plans to become a magistrate? You must think me quite mad. I've heard enough. Get out of here at once. Domitius, come quickly. We're being robbed.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Stop. Oh. Yulia? Oh no. Poor Virgil. All right, let me see. I'll go. Oh. You? Or...
Welcome. All right.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Orpheus, what are you doing? What? Help him. Thank...
Let me get... You... Well, you don't... It's 2 if I back... Oh, really? That changes, but we're still in debt bond. Really? Wait. You'd do that for us? A couple of complete strangers? It seems today we're both blessed. This did not turn out how I thought. Thank you, friend. I never thought people like you existed. Thank you. I'll go and pay off our debts immediately. I just wish there was some way I could repay you. But I have nothing but the tunic on my back. I'll go and take care of things with Malleolus and tell Yulia the good news. Thanks again, friend. I'll never forget what you did for us.
What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm thankful that you're here. Can I help you with something? Even if I had seen it, and I'm not saying I have, I couldn't in good conscience give it to you. That's all I'll say. What you're doing is disgusting, and it's not going to work. Shame on you. Ah, that's it.
Really? That's incredible. Oh, what a relief.
Welcome.
I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything. Just rest up, get your strength back, and we'll celebrate properly when you're ready.
I will. Thank you, Orpheus. I will.
Shalom. You mean where am I from and all that? Judea. originally. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family, Romanized my name, and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river, and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way. Every road leading out of Rome was in chaos, full of people with all their belongings in carts and brigands preying on them. Several hours down the Appian Way, I saw another Jewish family being attacked by 3 opportunists. So I picked up a branch from the side of the road and went to defend them. I can only assume they got the better of me, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a forest, by a river not far from here, with no memory of how I got there. It's strange though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber knock me unconscious and throw me in a river, but not take my coins? A lot of good it did me, and that family. I sometimes wonder what happened to them. I don't, but even if I did, I'm not going anywhere. I have unfinished business. Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talking about theology, law, and collective punishment, so I guess you're looking for a pithy summary? Haha. You remind me of an old story from my people about Hillel the Elder. He was approached by a Gentile and asked to explain the entire Torah while he stood on 1 foot. Obliging, he replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." Of course, what I want to know is, what kind of a god sees a young woman abducted and does nothing about it? Not my god. That's for sure. Thanks. I just wish there was a way to find out. Sentius, I suppose. I'd have to be insane to vote for Malleolus after what he did to me. All right, friend.
Welcome. Feeling all... That's a...
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not? Malleolus isn't... What?
Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate, yes. Yes, thank you.
Whatever. Oh, I wish I Oh, you... What? Is this some kind of crude commoner joke? No, surely not. Father, is this true?
I'm afraid it is.
I don't understand. Why? Why would you do such a thing?
Because she found a way out. And if you're wondering why I'm telling you this, it's because you're never going to remember any of it. All I have to do is commit a sin, and the day will begin again. Watch this. I'm going to kill you now.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Help me!
Come and give me another day in the sun. It's almost as if you're trying to extend...
sounds... You? Poor... All right. But how did you... I'll go.
Keep an eye out for Scintilla, would you?
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
You're not... Talk. The dainty little thing from next door. Of course not. As much as I despise her father, I would never lay a finger on that poor, sweet child. I think it's about to be broken if you don't hurry up and leave. My marital affairs are no... You know, some time ago... Now, I'll let it go, but... Oh, aren't you charming? I'm quite sure my husband would seethe with impotent rage if he overheard you say that. I love it. It seems our interests are aligned. I imagine knowing his true identity will give me the leverage I need to manage him appropriately. But first, I need you to do something for me. I want you to bring me some wine. Just one small urn should do it. Oh, don't look at me like that. I know this must be hard for you to wrap your sweet little pleb head around. So what do you need me to spell out? So you'll help me? Excellent. Now, you'll need to pay a visit to that strumpet Aurelia in her tavern. I expect you'll have to flatter her a bit. If that doesn't work, you might be able to get some advice from Yulia, who's probably still at the shrine of Apollo. I heard they used to be close. They both appreciate the poetry of Sappho of Lesbos, if you get my meaning. Thank you.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
This again. You're in a world of your own, aren't you? Oh, you're here. And, there's a... What was that? Let's just forget. I do, but I'm afraid it's not for sale. It's the last jug in the entire city, so I'm saving it for a romantic occasion. Really? That's your move? Honey, I'll admit I was intrigued by you at first, but then you had to go and open your mouth. Unfortunately for you, Nobody gets a second chance at a first impression. What's that supposed to be? The riddle of the Sphinx? All right.
You, Sisyphus, just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come. The bloodless shadows. This is their punishment. Say it. Then it... I thought I had... He gives... I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, and still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice, and now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest. Friend, you...
How'd you do?
Citizen.
Salve. Sorry. Was there something you wanted? Really? You're going to give that snake a taste of her own medicine? I'm in. What do you need? Ah, so you need to sweep her off her feet, then? Is that it? I think I can help you with that. As much as it disgusts me to say this, we were sort of involved before she betrayed me. So I know her better than anyone. The thing you need to know about her is this. She's obsessed with money. An ostentatious display of wealth probably wouldn't hurt. One more thing, and I feel dirty saying this. She keeps a journal upstairs in her room, beside her bed. If you could somehow take a look, that might tell you how she thinks. May Nemesis guide you. Our priestess, Equitia, once told me it's the god's way of creating a city without sin. But if that's the case, then whichever god is responsible for it didn't think it through. I mean, all it really does is make bad people better at hiding their sins. and good people too frightened to stand up for themselves. I've seen Malleolus, Claudia, and Domitius make grown men cry. Romans. They don't cry easily. They've never physically hurt anyone. But the point is, they don't have to. They've got people running scared because everyone knows Malleolus is the favorite to win today's election. I doubt it. I mean, the election is today, and you've only just arrived. I just don't think there's enough time for you to do anything. I suppose we will. All right.
Oi! How did you get in there, you cheeky little sturkers?
Isn't the great temple majestic?
I love your clothes. So exotic. You stay away from my money!
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Oh. You live. Poor bro. All right, I'll go.
I love your clothes. Oh, you're here. And, there's a... Well, since you bring that up, let's cut to the chase. What are you worth? You know what? We don't need to talk about money. It's so coarse. But enough about that. I want to know all about you. Tell me, who are you hoping will win today's election? Sentius or Malleolus? That oafish farmer? Let's just forget that ever happened.
Again. with incessant
I do,
labor.
but
The water they have lost.
everything. Well, even if you could get into my locked... Good idea. All right.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
This again. You're in a world of your own, aren't you?
All right. I'll go.
Oh, and... Well... but enough about... good answer. Though it's no... Really? I say that to... I take... Let's just forget that ever happened. Oh...
Salve. All right. But...
Oh, and then... Well... but enough about... Come on, at least say it like you mean it. Not because it's what you thought I wanted to hear. Let's just forget that ever happened. I do... Really? What's that? I do. Good.
Sisyphus, attack.
You... All right. But... I'll...
Oh, and... Well... but enough about... Honey, I'm beginning to think Venus herself sent you to me because I love the way you think. Here's an idea. How about we head to the baths with some wine I've been saving and see where it leads? Oh, I see you know how to treat a lady.
Sisyphus,
Here you
attack
go.
or pursue the stone that always returns.
What? What are you talking about? No, no. You give that back. Give it back or you'll break the golden rule. Only so you could carry it to the baths. Think you're clever, do you? Well, you're nothing but a Pusilla Cemeterio Squamicus. I was just gonna use you for your money.
fear is proof of a degenerate mind.
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
You're not tall. You barge into my villa and offer me wine. I'd have you thrown out, but it just so happens that is exactly what I need. The question is, what do you want for it? Ah, it seems Bacchus smiles on me once again, and I believe I have just the thing you're looking for. Some time ago, he wrote me a letter and signed it Quinctius, apparently by accident. I've kept it ever since, hoping one day I'd find out what it meant. I'll happily show it to you for that wine. Thank you. Here's the letter. Now, perhaps you can tell me who Quinctius really is. What? He's... Oh no, that's... quite a lot more serious than I imagined. I only wanted some leverage over him, not to destroy him. Give me that immediately. Nobody else must know. What? No. You tricked me, you mendacious little stirkers. It was a lie of a mission. You were planning this all along and you deliberately concealed it. May Jupiter cut you down. I curse you. I curse your life and mind and memory. May you be unable to walk or eat or drink. May this drag you to the depths. This is outrageous.
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you must have been desperate to see me. Well, what do you want? Look, if I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy to sell it to you, but I don't, so I can't. Are you insane? You barge into my villa uninvited and then make outrageous demands? Why would I withdraw from an election I'm bound to win? So, it finally caught up with me. I suppose that makes you... what? One of Nero's assassins? So, you're not going to kill me? Oh, so much work and money. Oh, well, if I do it, do you let me live? Fine. Ruling this cesspit of a city would have been beneath me anyway. I'll have Domitius notify the priestess of my withdrawal and release those two from debt bondage. There, you got what you wanted. Now, please, leave my villa and never speak to me again. Domitius, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
I've made a decision to release Julia and Ulpius and withdraw from the election. I want you to go and inform Equitia.
Sir? Are you under duress, sir?
I've just had a change of heart.
But you were on track to be magistrate, sir. All that work, all that money wasted.
Those are my orders. Carry them out.
As you wish, sir.
A golden bow, just like Apollo and Diana's.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land.
A new face. Ave, and may... See you again.
Greetings and salutations.
Be careful who you... Sorry, was there something you... All right.
Don't believe a word they tell you. Shalom, friend. All right, friend. Thanks for the...
Salve again, friend. I went... How is it possible? Oh, Ah, it's you now. I've bounced the idea around once or twice, but from what maybe that... He did? Oh, that was unexpected. I wonder what could have possessed him to do that. Well, I guess it's time for me to step up then. I'll let Equitia know I'll be running. All right. See.
All weapons are to be What is it, citizen? Not that it's any of your business. all right?
What now? Whatever.
That's quite an impressive survey again. Did you find what you need? It must be completed by dusk. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Galerius, the challenger. Why do you ask? Certainly. See you.
Name's Rufius. Galerius. Sorted out my rheumatism. For the first time in a long time, I'm not in constant pain.
Welcome. Feeling? Sure. Glad. That.
Citizen.
Ah, a new face. I hear we... Galerius, definite. All right. Nice.
Greetings, I'm George. My friend, your words intrigue me more and more. Ah, I knew this day would come. I do not wish to lie to you, my friend, but even discussing this matter is dangerous. Please, let us leave the live coals safely beneath us. Very well, but the magistrate would not look kindly upon this, so please keep it to yourself. For several months now, I have been sneaking out at night to worship the gods of my ancestors in the Temple of Demeter. Each day, I leave offerings of food in the hope that we may have a bountiful harvest, and yet the next day when I return, the food is missing. The offering, it is symbolic, you see. It is never eaten. So I ask, who or what is devouring the food in this temple? Stranger still. Once I sat in front of my shop like the 100-eyed Argus until dawn to see if I could spot a thief going in. But do you know what I saw? Nothing! Nobody entered, and yet when I went to take a look, my offering was gone. It is bizarre, is it not? When I told my friend Kabash of this at the tavern, he offered to help investigate. He went in, and to my dismay, he was never seen again. It is the only Greek temple in the city. Head towards the baths, and it is the last building on your right. I do not think you should pursue this, my friend. It would break my heart to be responsible for 2 people disappearing. But you do not strike me as a kind of person to be deterred by such warnings, so just be careful, I beg you. Hey, my friend. Ah, and in a city full of Romans you are asking me? Because I am Greek. Let me tell you something about Greeks and Romans. My name is Georgios, yes, but the Romans, they do not care. They hear me say Georgios, and they think, ah, he must mean Georgius. Good Roman name. They do this all the time. They see us worshipping Zeus, they copy us, but call him Jupiter. They take Hades and call him Pluto, Persephone, Proserpina. I am flattered that they copy our ideas, but why must they change the names? Do they want credit for making it all up? Do they want to forget where it came from? At first, I pull my hair out. After a while, I give up, and I become Georgius the Roman. I accept the world is Roman now. Plus, I have no hair left to pull. But my point is this. If you want to know who stole an old Greek name, look no further than the sticky-fingered Romans. The plague you seek was pilfered from a collection of old Greek relics by none other than Dully. He cannot help it. Like a typical Roman, he likes shiny things, especially those that once belonged to my people. And besides, it makes him happy. So I say, let him keep it. I believe he still has it with him. in his cell, just opposite the Temple of Demeter. I hope that our paths cross.
Hello? Hello? Do you like it? It's shiny, innit? It makes me happy just looking at it. But if I gave it to you, then I wouldn't have it anymore, and I'd be sad. Well, if you get me out of here, then I wouldn't need it anymore because I'd already be happy. Then you could have it, and you'd be happy too. Like Galerius. He's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything. Yeah, Galerius will let me out. Then you can have my plaque and everyone will be happy. Bye bye.
Ah, a visitor. Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name? It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here? Ah, Kabash. I know this man. He came through here some weeks ago. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I've been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule? Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue? Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong? You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the Golden Rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult. Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the Golden Rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? Are you sure? Or is it possible that humans simply haven't figured out the right system yet? So is it up to each of us to decide what right and wrong mean to us individually? Or must we simply follow the laws and customs of whichever community we're in? Ah, you know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, a scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one tribe to another. I take it you're in agreement? Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe there is nothing wrong with such conduct? And that's a credit to you. It is the mark of a civilized person to change their position when presented with a superior argument. My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions. You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story. I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a drunk mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life.
I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny. They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades. My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again. I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive. I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years. Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner. As you wish. Ha! If I did, would I be living like this? Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You're toying with me. Ha! You seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian inscription. It is a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you, if Kabash had not already taken it. I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the Shrine of Persephone became the Shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail. There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate. I enjoyed our chat. Ah, you've returned.
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you? I am Kabash. And let me guess, another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors, To what end? That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it and restore the honor of Osiris. Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed, I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was. You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it. Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie. I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is? Indeed, and I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story, and here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers, but instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew. I am glad to hear it, which brings me to this other, fourth plaque. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us, and that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this, I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more. You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name. You are too late. It is done. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness. If it will help you to see reason, then ask. I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kerti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead. This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me. I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me, for I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods. I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is, it would be unwise to venture down there. Is everyone so contrary where you are from? Do not even consider it. Good. Be gone from this place. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness. We shall see. When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here. I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy? Why? To what end? But why? What business could you have with Osiris? Blasphemous fool! You have sealed your own fate. Ha, good. I welcome it. You see, the philosopher told me that each time it breaks, Osiris bellows with rage, and his voice shakes the very foundations of the earth. I can only hope one more tremor will lay waste to this fragile place once and for all, and you along with it.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
When you... Then you admit it. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of Ma'at. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience? Blasphemer!
The many shall suffer for the...
When I... Why? But that makes no sense. How would it honor him to place false names on his sacred Tekenu? Now that I think about it, my people would sometimes call Osiris the god of many names. Perhaps it is so. But the underworld of my people is so different to this one, and so unlike the way it was described by our priests. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepare to have our heart, and yet I am not sure I follow. Speak plainly. Now you insult me, you... When I... Why? But... But men we prepare and you did up... I am... Perhaps there is some truth in that. What is your point? You are persuasive. Very well. I will let you live, and you may do what you will with that plaque. I will remain here for a while, and attempt to learn what I can about the foundations of my people's beliefs. Go. you again. Of course.
Good to see you. I
Ave again. May fortune.
Wow! Your lamp is incredible.
Ave. It must be. It'll be, but why do you? As I said. Yes. Very well. Citizens, it is time. Let us meet to elect our magistrate.
Time to go to the theater.
Body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and late nominee Gallus Galerius Helver. Marcus Malleolus Gurges withdrew his candidacy earlier today. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Galerius. He saved the life of my dear friend Fabia.
Dacius.
Sentius.
Virgil.
The man who put a stop to the threats I've been receiving. Galerius.
Ulpius.
Galerius, the man who saved my life.
Rufius.
The man who treated my rheumatism. Galerius.
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Gallus Galerius Helver.
What?
It has been decided. Magistrate Galerius, would you like to make a brief address?
I just want to say, this isn't something I ever wanted. Now that you've put your trust in me, I'm going to do everything I can not to let you down. I'll need some time to put together a list of the changes I want to make around here. But I promise you, there will be changes. My first order is that Dooley is to be freed. Horatius, release him from his cell immediately. Please. Wait, do I need to say please? I suppose not. That's it. You can all get on with your day. Nothing else to see here. Move along.
That's quite an impressive bow.
Fortune smiles on you today, Julius.
Just like Diana's.
Magistrate Galerius here has ordered your release.
You're going to let me out of here?
I'm sorry it took so long, my friend. And it wouldn't have happened at all if it wasn't for a newcomer. So be sure to offer your thanks when you can.
I will. I will. Thank you, Galerius. I'm so happy.
I'd love to stay and chat, but I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Why don't you go to the baths, then tell Georgius I said you could have some new clothes. Then I want you to go home and rest. I'll speak with you soon, Dooley.
Hello? I'm Dooley. Magistrate Galerius said I should thank the newcomer. Are you the newcomer? Oh, it is you. Then, thank you. You're a big helper. I was locked up, but they let me out again. I'm so happy. You can have my shiny plaque if you want, and maybe you can help me find my treasure. My friend Hannibal used to look after me, and he said he always would. But then he died. But before that, he told me if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious. What was in there? Was it gold and pearls and shiny things? Do you think you could share some with me? I'm confused. Hannibal said it was a precious secret. It's not a treasure. Oh, all right. I trust you. Oh, look over there. Something shiny. Is it treasure? Maybe it is treasure. I could see it for myself. So pretty. And it's just lying out here in the open. Maybe nobody wants it anymore. Maybe no one will mind if I just take it.
Be careful who you trust.
Many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Salve, friend. Oh, sounds... You? Alright, let me... What? I'll go.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will. My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know? It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey. My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords: desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. My kin and I all adopted the... No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that. This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long. That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the ferryman. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago. That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting. There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina. As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten. To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferrymen. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepolis along with it. It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning, and in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course, that is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing. That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold, and when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching, and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat, where she broke her neck on the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, the silent golden sentinels. I give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no. You destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it. When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. Consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not? For you, perhaps. I am able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes. If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask? Then what an odd question. Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example? I have seen no such thing, but in any case, taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? Do you honestly think you could do better? I should strike you down for that. Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning? Very well. Good. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
You would have us believe that my servant merely forgot bringing you here. That sounds improbable to me. Charon, does this mortal speak the truth? Or should I strike him down where he stands?
Perhaps. The waters of the River Lathe are known to have that effect.
I will take you at your word. But as long as your past remains shrouded in mystery, it seems I must put your reckoning on hold. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek? Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule? That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it? I am well aware of the story told by the Greeks and Romans of my so-called abduction. It is entirely unfair. My love was dying, and I intervened the only way I could to save her life. What would you have done? It was an act of rebellion against the others. She knew I would have to act to save her, and I did because I loved her. I love her still. Accordingly, I reject your argument. Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them. How unfortunate that we are not where you are from. Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights? Of course not, because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals. My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is mortal. Bah! For a moment I thought you might have been building to a point, but I see now you are just a hubristic little creature. How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. True, I have witnessed him doing that. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. Pathetic. You will need to do a lot better than that.
He cannot know.
Huh. I see what you are doing. You are trying to undermine the one thing keeping me anchored here. You are playing a dangerous game. Liar! How dare you come into my domain and attempt to undermine the thing I hold most sacred? You will make a fine statue. Do you really think you can wound me, a god, with that primitive weapon? Pathetic.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
You will suffer eternal torment.
What? That's a big ask, but I doubt...
Salve. That's good. Well, we've all... Are you... All right.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. All
That...
You're like... I see.
I am out. Wherever you are. Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no! Was it your fault? You just refused... I'll have to let...
one, and I would recognize that anywhere. And yet my beloved still wears hers. What is this? How did you come by it? You vile, despicable creature. Why would you do such a thing? And worse still, boast about it. You have put me in an impossible position. If I refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my wager and return to Elysium humiliated and alone. Perhaps you are cleverer than you appear, mortal. I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eyes like nothing I have witnessed in 3,000 years. And now you have shown me your species' true colors. And I see that Proserpina was a fool to have ever believed in you at all. This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this, if I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest. Enough, foul creature. This is not something I've decided. You see, once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? You had best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al. Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Know who you are? I barely remember how I got here myself. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years? What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me. I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple. You go on ahead, and I'll be there soon.
You're back! But you're alone. Does that mean you didn't find Al? Oh, what a relief. Thank you so much. I was beginning to think you'd both become trapped in there. Why don't you tell me what you discovered while we wait?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions. You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead. Usually, when people do not remember how they died, it is because they suffered a terrible trauma. Most souls would rather not remember. Ask yourself honestly, do you really want to know? A wise decision. All you need to know is that you and Al died in possession of a sacred silver coin. It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here. Nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
You're finally here. Remember me? It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Karen appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.